When Gog and Magog are released into the world, there are many, if you'll allow me to use this word, there are many footprints by which we would be able to recognize them when they're released into the world. But before we go to looking for the footprints, let us go to the Prophet ﷺ in Medina. He is asleep. And in his sleep he has a ru'ya, a vision. And whatever he saw in that vision was terrible. Oh my gosh. Whatever he saw in that vision was really terrible. Because he woke up from the sleep with his face flushed red. Something terrible is coming. But the Arab will suffer the most. The Arab. Woe unto the Arabs. Wailul lil Arab. Min sharrin qad iqtaraba. Because of a great evil which will now embrace them eventually. And then he raised his hands like this and said, today a hole has been made in the rudder of Zulkarnain, of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Rudder. The barrier or the dam. You have a dam and you build something to keep the water, then it becomes a dam. Today a hole has been made in that barrier built by Zulkarnain. And this is repeated in the Quran, in the Hadith, 8 times, this Hadith. It is also mutawatir, Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. It is muttafaqun alayh, indicating that in the lifetime of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, not only was Dajjal released, but also the Gog and Magog was released. The barrier was brought down in the lifetime of the Prophet. Well then, if they are brought down, the barrier is brought down and Gog and Magog are released, then we should be looking for footprints, Footprints. Well, let's leave Surah Al-Kahf and go to the other parts of the Quran, searching for the ayat on Ya'juj and Ma'juj. And we find in Surah Al-Anbiya only one more reference to Gog and Magog, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about a town. Remember the town? And he had destroyed the town, punished it by destroying it, and then expelled the people of the town. وَحَرَامٌ عَلَى قَرْيَةٍ أَهْلَكْنَاهَا. And then he banned the people of the town that they could never return to reclaim that town as their own. أَنَّهُمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ. They are in a state of permanent exclusion, banned from returning to that town. حتى, until when? حتى إذا فتحت يأجوج ومأجوج, until Gog and Magog are released. وهم من كل حدب ينسلون. وهم من كل حدب ينسلون. And Gog and Magog, when they are released, they spread out in every direction, which is one meaning. And if you spread out in every direction, then you'll take control of the world. The land, the sea, the air. Read Toynbee. Read Arnold Toynbee. Read a book called Civilization on Trial. I'm giving you good books to read, incidentally, not comic books. Read Arnold Toynbee, the British historian. Read a book entitled Civilization on Trial. You should get it on the internet. It was written somewhere around 80 years, 90 years ago, 1935, somewhere around 70, 80 years ago. And in that book, Arnold Toynbee points out that modern Western civilization has risen upon the world with a mission to take control of the whole world. And he says, the land, the sea, the air, everything. He said it in that book. وَهُمْ مِنْ كُلِّ حَدَبٍ يَنْسِلُونَ. They spread out in all directions, and with the indestructible power they take control of the world. For the first time in history, one people will control the whole world. Nobody ever did that before. The other meaning is that they descend from every height. So they target you and they impose themselves upon you. You can't get away from them. Which town is it? Which town is it? We return to that crucially important hadith, which is repeated something like 8 times in Sahih Bukhari alone, in which the Prophet ﷺ was asleep at the home of his wife Zainab radiallahu ta'ala anha. And he saw something terrible in his sleep. And he woke up from his sleep with his face flushed red. And he uttered these words, these ominous words, that every Palestinian is quite familiar with. He said, Wailul lil Arab, woe unto the Arabs, min sharrin qad iktaraba, because of a shar, evil, great evil, which is now qareeb, which will now become close, iktaraba. And then he raised his hands and made a hole like this and said, today a hole has been made in the rudder, the barrier built by Zulkarnain, indicating that Allah is now bringing down the barrier. فَإِذَا جَاءَ وَعْدُ رَبِّ جَعَلَهُ دَكَّاءَ. Allah is now bringing down the barrier. And once Allah brings down the barrier, the release of Gog and Magog will commence. She asked Zainab radiallahu ta'ala anha, Anuhlika, will we be destroyed? Wafina salihun, and while they are righteous people in our midst, would we still be destroyed? He said, Na'am. Yes, the Arabs will be destroyed. When? إِذَا كَثُرَ الْخَبَثِ. When the timeline has been given by the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. He has actually given us the timeline for the destruction of the Arabs. When khabath, prevails in the world, when the world is inundated with khabath, filth, the filth that comes from pornography, for example, khabath. And so you just have to look around you to see how close it is. How close it is. We are now living in a world more filthy than anything that mankind could ever have dreamed of. And the filth is coming from one direction. It's coming from that direction. From the direction of those who now today control power in the world. The head of the filth is of course pornography. It is also homosexuality and lesbianism. It is also feminine nudity, women are dressed and yet naked. It is also a preference, a strange and mysterious preference for sexual relations in public rather than private. That people would have sexual intercourse in public like donkeys, he said. That's coming. A strange and mysterious fascination with having sexual relations in a motor car parked in a park, so people passing by can take a look. It's happening already. And it's coming from one direction. It's coming from those who liberated Jerusalem and then brought Banu Israel back to Jerusalem, to the Holy Land, who presided over the creation of the State of Israel and who have protected Israel until Israel could grow to become superpower and be poised to take over the rule over the world. Those who today rule the world are a mysterious dual alliance. Dual. It is a mysterious Jewish-Christian alliance which has emerged in Europe and which has spread its tentacles around the world. They are the ones who are bringing the khabath to such an extent that it is now almost prevailing in the world. And so as we see the filth spreading, we know that the moment is at hand for the destruction of the Arabs.